wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Husna Nisah Khairani and I'm your today's presenter for the topic of applied internet linguistics. So please ask some question. Who wants to go first?
Explain about internet linguistics in your opinion.
Applied in linguistics in my opinion. So actually we have to talk about applied linguistics first. So it is actually how we use the theory, research and study for about language to solve real world problems that where the language is the important, is the core. So if it is applied internet linguistics, it is the areas that we apply the linguistics in the internet, right? Because applied linguistics have many areas and the internet is just one of that areas. And for applied internet linguistics, there are so many branches. It is like the sub point of it. Like we need to identify first the problem first, and then we need to solve the problem about linguistics in the internet. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much. Next, yeah. So actually about the problem areas, because internet is a broad term, it is broad scope about the internet because it's the whole world, like. So there are many problems depending on what kind of online activity that we do. So to solve the problem, the basic things, the fundamental things that we can do is to use our knowledge in language and put it in the system to solve that problem, and we can develop that system every time because problems is dynamic. It changes over time and it becomes bigger, and if we solve one problem, another problems will come up, and that's why we need to keep updating the system to solve that problem. There's many ways to solve the problem actually. Maybe for example in e-commerce, when it is actually first use one single keyword. So when we search for one keyword, there are many things that will come up. It doesn't consider our preferences and our background and our previous searching. But nowadays, as the researchers already developed that system, so even though we search for one keyword, it can get into the specific things that we want because they have the data of our previous searches and also our background information in the internet that we have. Maybe that's all.
What is the main problem?
The main problem in applied linguistics, I think, because I want to say about the applied internet linguistics doesn't really consider about the fact that language is often uncertain, right? So there are many things in language that we need to consider when we do something. For example, they have search engine, and that is built from the computer language processing, and we also need to understand that so we can update that problems to solve the problems. And the main problems is engine doesn't have sense. So because maybe we want to search for something, we think about it with context, right? But the engine doesn't recognize the context that we want to search because they don't have the sense. That is the researchers nowadays trying to develop the sense engine in search engine, so it can combine that into a more like convenient one, the better one, the better version of the search engine, so it will have sense. The main problems, we don't have that yet. So when we search for something, for example, I would search for something that related to emotional things, but it doesn't provide in the engine. Thank you so much. That's all for me. Hello everyone, my name is Husna Khairani and I'm your today presenter for the topic of applied internet linguistics. So please ask your question. Okay?
So, what is the connected between the internet and the applied linguistics?
Internet and applied linguistics. So actually internet is one of the areas that we can apply linguistics in it, because in internet everything use language, right? Whether it is written or spoken, we engage with language, so we cannot be separated from applied internet linguistics. Even we are not aware, but we do applied internet linguistics without we are realizing it. So actually that's the basic things of applied linguistics and internet. And we also use applied linguistics to solve the problem in the internet that where the language is the core of it, because it is important. as I have said before, internet is about language, and we need to solve the problem so we can develop to a better one to the problem. Next.
What do you think the main problem for applying linguistics on the internet?
So for me, in my opinion, the biggest problem in applied internet linguistics is that the applied internet linguistics doesn't understand well the fact that language is often uncertain, right? So there's an ambiguity. We have such cases like polysemy when words have different meanings. So that is led us to the fact about the sense engine. Search engine doesn't have sense engines. That's what's make it hard for us, and it is the main problem I think about to connect about the ambiguity, to solve the ambiguity and also connect the words, because the search engine doesn't yet have the sense engine. As a human, we often shows our thought using language that have sense. We meant for something like this, but the engine, because it doesn't have sense, it recognize it for something else, and yeah, that's the biggest problem. I think they doesn't have that yet, that ability yet, but I think we will have that in the future, so they can recognize our background, previous searching, our background information, and all of the internet, so it can predict what we want to be, what we want to search. I think.
Do you think this material is important, and why?
I think it's kind of important actually, because we daily engage with this, right? We use internet all time, all days, because that's what we require to do. Even though we don't want to use internet, we have to do this because we live with this, right? We need information. It is from internet. We need something. For example, we need food. Even food nowadays we would get it with internet, in Shopee food and something like that. And money, even e-wallet, we have internet. So that is actually important for me, because yeah, sometimes let's take the millennials for the example. They don't really understand the linguistic things in the internet. So they often ask us to guide them, right? Because that's the difference. The linguistic in the internet nowadays is often most for Gen Z. So that's why it is easy for us to understand that, even though it's our first time using some apps. We can learn quickly because we are familiar with the words, we are familiar with the language actually. We are familiar with all of the things in the apps, in the internet, because we daily engage with this, we immerse in that thing. So actually that is why it is important. As you can see, sometimes when people who isolated themselves from internet cannot properly function the internet. Thank you. So hello everyone, my name is Husna Nisah Khairani, and I'm your today presenter for the topic of applied internet linguistics. So please ask question. Okay. Well, yeah, okay, I'll wait for you. Or do you guys want to go first? Okay. Also, the focus on ambiguity. So actually, this is about the biggest problem is because the applied internet linguistic doesn't understand well the fact that language is often uncertain. So it doesn't have like the sense. The sense to that we we human do have sense. When we search for something, we want to have that. The words that have the sense, for example, a specific sense that we want to search, but the engine doesn't recognize that because it doesn't have the sense engine. It's only have the search engine, like the manual one. But I think the researchers is currently developing that, so we can be more convenient in the future, and also the ambiguity lies in the polysemy, because words might have different meanings, and if we don't choose the right words to add to our searches, it will become more confusing for us. For example, I want to search for charge in terms of electricity, but I add the words power to make it more specific, but the result also contains about the military, because as I have said before, polysemy, words have different meanings, and I don't choose the right terms, the right words to add in my searches. So I will get more confused, and we can overcome this problem by two things, like the grammar and also the word meaning. The grammar helps us to know the sentence structure, whether the word is the verbs, the object, or something else, and also word types, whether it is the verb or the noun or something like that. So we need to understand that, and also the semantic things. Next, yeah,
I want to ask about the outcomes that
yeah, but
how do you solve the problem? But I think I would like to ask like what is the difference between grammatical approach and lexical approach? So grammatical focus on the sentence structure, like as I have said before, we will know whether it is the subject, object, or something like that, because it differs, right? When, for example, let's take pronouns. If it is an object, the subject, it will become he, for example, and for object, it will become him or his or something like that. Yeah, that's, we can recognize that, and the engine can be more specific at the word levels. And for the lexical one, we have word types, like whether it is the noun, the verb, or something like that, because it also different, right? Where, for example, combination, it is the noun, but if it is a verb, it will become combined. So the engine can recognize that things, but not the sense, for example. That's why you need to specify. Grammatical is like the structure, and then lexical is like the word.
Yeah, it's basically that's the main focus. Okay.
Okay, I want to ask, could you explain about the central semantics?
The centrality and semantic. So actually, because we run out of time, so the core is that semantic is the core for any online tools that where language is the center. So language based online tools is semantic. The core is semantic. So we need to understand the meaning, the language of the meaning of the language, the meaning of the words, to understand what's going on the online platforms. Because everything in internet is using language, whether it is written or spoken. So we need to yeah. Thank you so much. So, hello everyone, my name is Husna, Nisah, Khairani, and I'm your today's presenter for the topic of applied internet linguistics. So please ask something. Who wants to go first? Okay, you want to go first? Applied internet linguistics based on my opinion. So first I will need to talk about the applied linguistics itself. So applied linguistics itself is how we use the research, theory, and the study about language to solve real world problem where language is the core, is important. And there are many areas in applied linguistics. One of them is internet. So it is actually how we solve the problem regarding language in internet. Yeah, using language, right? And there are many problems in the internet actually, and it depends on the online activity that we do. And we have to, because everything in the internet is depends on language, whether it is spoken or written. Because yeah, as you have experienced before, everything on the internet is using language. We need to understand the language to use the online tools, online activity, to do the online activity. That is why applied internet linguistics is important, and also that is what applied internet linguistics is, in my opinion. Next, who wants to go?
Do you know anything about diachronic?
Also, diachronic is actually the range of the time, right? So language evolves all the time. So we need to study how it is evolved and what it evolves. It is not only about the future, because as I have discussed with my friend before, they talk most about the future, but also about the old ones. Because with the internet, we can access to old language. And as we have experienced before, I believe you have experienced this, that everything on the old comes again right now, like the retro, the Y2K things, and we have some difference in terms of language with the old ones. That's why we need to understand that also, so we can delve deeper into that. It's not only about no future, but also the old one. For the future, we have no. For the nowadays, we have like brand road. So on the internet, there are many brand road nowadays. So in terms like, if we want to
we want to comfortably surf on our internet, so we have to understand that, right? Because that's what people do right now. That's what people talk about right now. If you don't understand about that, you will left out in the conversation. It will also affect our real life. So that's why it is important to know about the diachrony. So we learn about the language all the time, over the time, past, nowadays, and future. Okay, thank you. Next.
Can you explain about the problem in
So actually, there are many problems in internet linguistics. It depends on what kinds of activity that we do, as I have said before, and there are also many ways to overcome this. Like, let's say example for like we have search engine system, computer classification, e-commerce, and online advertising. And I will explain about the, let's say, search engine assistant, for example. So when we need to search for something, first we use one keyword and it will get confusing because the engine doesn't recognize, doesn't have the ability to understand well that the fact that language is often unclear. So it can lead to many other problems like ambiguity, also we will not talk about yet the polysemy things. So that's one of the problems. So we need to be specific. We add words to what we search is so we can get to what we want. Thank you so much. Hello everyone, my name is Husna Nisah and I'm your today's presenter for the topic of applied internet linguistics. So please ask question. Yes?
Could you please explain to me the other aspect?
The other aspect. So we have the other aspect. Actually, we have many of them, but we have like graphology, discourse analysis, pragmatics, and also variation, and also the last one we have diachrony. But I will mention several things. For the graphology, is like the looks of the words in the screen, in the page. It's actually about the aesthetic. We can say it is the aesthetic, like what font do we use, which one is bigger and which one is smallest for the words, so we can attract people, right? And for the discourse analysis, it's like how the words are structured and organized, so it can attract other people. And for the pragmatics one, we have the key idea is we need to check the background of the web page or the things that we need to be posted, so we make sure it doesn't contain any negative things or things that do not relate with our posting. So, and also we have variation, variation of language styles, and it depends on situation and context. And for the last one, we have diachrony. It is like language evolves all the time, so we need to know how language used in internet in the old times, nowadays, and we can predict the future. I think that's all. Who's next? Yeah. Okay, you can go first.
Why do you think the ambiguity is the main issue in the internet?
Because ambiguity can lead to many other problems, right? So the key thing is that the applied internet linguistics cannot properly understand the fact that language is often uncertain, which is ambiguity, and they don't have sense to solve that really problem. Ambiguity can be solved with sense, but engine doesn't have that. Search engine doesn't have that. They only, the data statistic and something like that they can analyze. So I think the researchers currently is developing the sense engine, so we can apply that in search engine to get a better result. Next, Alia. Yeah.
Do you think that it's really important for us to learn this material?
Because I think it is really important. Yeah.
Why?
Okay. I think it is really important because we every day, daily engage with internet linguistics, and everything in internet, please be quiet. Everything in the internet is based on language, whether it is written or spoken, right? So we daily engage with this, and as a Gen Z, we cannot avoid internet, right? Everything in our life using internet, even money, we have a wallet. For food, we have like shopping food or something like that. So I think it is really important to know that, so we can get better understanding and we can learn faster when we encounter new things in internet.
Alright, so
Thank you.
Save the best for the last.
Could you just briefly explain what is the lexicopedic?
Lexicopedia actually it a combination from encyclopedia and dictionaries, which is from the word lexicon. So it is actually a combination. So we combine how we say something with both encyclopedia and dictionaries. We have two ways. First is by adding word meaning in encyclopedia, and also by provide topic information for the dictionaries, so we can combine that to get to know the word meanings in the internet, in the engine specifically and accurately. So we use that tools simultaneously, complementary, so we can get a better result. I think that's all. Thank you so much, guys. So, hello everyone, my name is Husna Khairani, and I'm your today's presenter for the topic of applied internet linguistics. So please ask questions. Who wants to go first? Ladies first, okay?
Me?
Yeah, I think you can go first.
Ask your opinion about what do you think the world can be if there's no study of applied internet linguistics?
So actually, I think because we are daily engaged with applied internet linguistics without even we realizing it, so it is not. It is important and some kind. And on the other side, I think like we'll be fine without it, but we cannot develop the applied internet linguistics faster and solve the problem faster and keep developing the system without talking about the applied internet linguistics. So if it is not exist, we will survive, but we won't be develop this fast. Like yeah. Thank you so much. Who's next? You go.
I would like to ask your experience. Have you had an experience about to face the
Internet applied linguistics. Yeah, of course. I think I have an experience regarding polysemy, the word that have many meanings. So I search for something in e-commerce, right? And it comes right. I don't want this. I want something else. But why does it come out? Then I just realized that this word that I search can mean these things too. That's actually my fault actually, because I didn't specify what I want to search. So that's why we need to be specific when we want to search something, and we have to choose the right terms. Let's take an example. I know this from the article. So the word charge, it can mean something different in many fields, right? So I add the word power in my searches. It doesn't help much because it still can lead me to different things. I want to search for it regarded to electricity, for example, but it also can result to something in military, because those two words also connect with the military things. Yeah, I think that's it.
So, what is the approach that you use? It is that the lexical approach or the grammar?
The approach, I think I prefer the grammar one, the grammatical, because it's easier for me personally. Thank you so much. Who's next? Another aspect. So we have many aspects actually. We have graphology, discourse analysis, pragmatics, variation, and also diachrony. So I will mention only short for them. So for graphology, it's actually the aesthetic, how the words looks on the page, right? How we put it, like what font do we use, how bigger it is, how big it is, or how small it is, so it can look better. So it can attract people. It happened the same with discourse analysis. So how we organize the sentence, so it can attract people. I think that's all from the other we have also. And you?
So why do you think we as English department have to study about this? Why not the technology department study, because it's about internet, right?
Yeah, because it's not about specific student from specific department, because we as a student itself engage with internet every day. Even if we don't want to, we have to. Like even in small things like e-wallet and Shopee food and something like that, we engage with internet, and we need to know this because everything in internet is based on language. Whether it is written or spoken, we deal with language. That is why it is important. Thank you so much. Hello everyone, my name is Husna Khairani and I'm your today's presenter for the topic of applied internet linguistics. So who wants to go first? I think you can go first.
No, it's the whole picture.
Okay. You can go first, I think.
Can you tell them what the problems?
The problems. So I actually applied linguistics. The first step that we need to do is to identify the problems that we need to solve in applied linguistics, especially in this term is internet. So there are many different problems in internet. It depends on our what kind of online activity that we do. We have like search engine assistant, document classification, e-commerce, and also online advertising. So I will not tell all of them, but I think I will focus on online advertising because it is the most how do I say highlighted one. Yeah, because I often experience that when I scroll through some page and then there's advertisement that doesn't relate with the content of the page. So I just thinking, why do they put the advertisement here? Because it doesn't match. So it will decrease the probability for people to buy that product, right? To be interested with the advertisement. So that's when we do online advertising, we need to make sure that our product is advertised in the right platforms. Okay, thank you so much. Who's next? You want to go next? Why this topic is important? Because as a student, as a human even, we cannot avoid internet. Even if we don't use internet, we have to, because everything nowadays is internet, especially for us as students. We learn from the internet, we develop from the internet, even e-wallet from the internet, and if we want to grab food, we use Grab, Shopee Food, and GoFood and something like that. That is why it is important. And as an English department student, we study language because everything in the internet is depending on the language. Because whether it is spoken or written, we use language in the internet. It is important for us to know, especially as Gen Z, because that's the highlighted one nowadays. Who's next? It is clear. Okay, who's next? I think you can.
Could you explain the difference between dictionary and encyclopedia?
So dictionary actually focus on words meaning. So there's words list and alongside with their meanings, right? While encyclopedia cover the topic. So for example, we search for topics and there will be words appears, but there's no meaning. They don't specify the meaning. They don't elaborate the meaning as in dictionaries. So if you think about the lexicopedic approach, so they combine that things. We have two ways: whether we add the topic information in the dictionaries or we provide the word meanings in the encyclopedia. So that's I think about it. Next, last one.
Encyclopedic approach. How can we solve the problem about the ambiguity?
About the ambiguity, actually, the fundamental one is by using our knowledge and apply it in the system. Because we can develop that system using our knowledge about language, especially as we talk about applied internet linguistics. So we focus on the language, not the internet things or the technologies. We focus on the language. So we use our knowledge about language and put it in the system that can help to solve the problems, whether it is in the e-commerce or on advertising and other field that I have mentioned before. And we can also do it with other fields, with other people. Thank you so much, guys. Hello everyone, my name is Husna Khairani and I'm your today's presenter for the topic of applied internet linguistics. So who wants to go first? Okay.
Can you explain about what is applied internet linguistics means?
So applied internet linguistics means, so I think I need to explain about the applied linguistics first. Applied linguistics is when we use the study, research or theories of previous study about language to use to solve real world problems regarding language, and it has many areas like involving internet. So because in internet everything depends on language, whether we realize it or not, whether it is spoken or written. Everything is within the language. So that is what applied internet linguistics is, when we solve the problem on the internet that regarding language.
regarding language. So we solve that also using the language, applied linguistics, all the theories. So we need to identify the problem first before we solve that. That's the first thing that we need to do. But we do apply internet linguistics without we realize that sometimes. I think that's it for me about applied internet linguistics. Thank you so much. Next.
What is your understanding of related to semantic contextual in applied internet
Also,
linguistics?
the centrality of semantics. Yeah, actually, semantics is the core of all the language-based online tools because semantics is about meaning, right? And for all the online tools, it use language because that's the way we communicate. Especially with engine because they don't speak, so it is used written language. But we also have spoken language in platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, and something like that. So the centrality of semantics, we need to understand the meaning to operate them correctly and effectively. Actually, not correctly but effectively, because we can operate them not in the correct way, but we can still use them, but not effectively. So if we know about semantic, we can effectively use the internet, use the online platform and something like that. So we can be more efficient about the times or our efforts to do something in online things, in internet. That's all. Thank you. Yes.
Why ambiguity can happen and how can we prevent it?
Why ambiguity can happen and how we can prevent it. So ambiguity can happen because the internet cannot fully understand the fact that language is often uncertain, because it is actually uncertain. They don't have sense that we as human do, and we apply that in our everyday life, so they don't have it. Why are you looking here? Focus on your group, please. So that is why it can lead to ambiguity. Also with other aspects like polysemy. Yeah, so words that have different meanings that sometimes engine can recognize that, but they don't specify that much if we don't specify it. Yeah, so that's what we need to do, and how we can prevent it. So we need to be specific, as I have said before. When we search for something, we put the general keyword, and we need to add some another word that specify the things that we need to search, for example. But we also need to choose the right one, because if not, it will be more confused for us. Let's take an example of the word charge. It falls under many topics, right? It is military, electricity, finance, and something like that. But I want to search charge in electricity things, so I add the word power. But unfortunately, I don't choose the right one, because power also associated with the military. So the result is also not clear. Thank you so much, guys.